I will now call this special meeting to order. I'd like to first welcome everyone here this morning, including county employees and department heads, elected officials, the media, and the general public. This is an important day in Baltimore County. Pursuant to our county charter, each year the county executive presents the upcoming fiscal year's budget to the county council. This year, on behalf of the entire county council, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Honorable John Oshevsky Jr. to the County Council chamber as he submits his first budget to the council and to the citizens of Baltimore County. Mr. County Executive, welcome, and the floor is now yours, sir.
County Executive, pleasure. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, brother. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Quirk. Members of the council, it is a great honor to be here today to deliver my first budget message to the county council and to the residents of Baltimore County. I want to thank my wife Marissa and my dad, former Councilman John Olszewski Sr., for being here today and for all their love and support. I ran for county executive because I believe with every fiber of my being that by working together and looking toward the future with optimism, we can push Baltimore County to reach its highest potential. I love this county, and this budget is about what I've learned to value growing up here. It's about the kind of Baltimore County I want to live in, the kind of county we want to raise our daughter in. It focuses on investing in the right policies and programs that will build the better Baltimore County we all want. I'm proud of the collaborative process that helped craft this budget. We held town halls, meetings in every council district, hearing from hundreds of residents about their priorities. We worked closely with members of the county council to understand the unique needs of their communities. And we unveiled a budget simulation tool that allowed residents to try their hand at balancing the budget. We also engaged a wide array of stakeholders in our transition process, drawing on their expertise to develop a blueprint for the next 4 years. We've also asked county employees for ideas on how we can prioritize and save. They are the ones on the ground every day, providing the programs and services that residents expect from their government, and they know better than anyone where we do great work and where we can do even better. I want to thank our county employees, not only for their creative ideas in crafting this budget, but also for the tireless work day in and day out they do on behalf of all of us. And I especially want to thank Keith Dorsey and his staff in the Office of Budget and Finance for their efforts over these past few months as we work to put this budget together. As Keith prepares to retire after 35 years, I want to thank him for his service to the people of Baltimore County. You know, I never thought being county executive would be easy, but I was surprised, shocked, really. And I think a lot of our residents were too, by the fiscal challenges we inherited. Shortly after taking office, I was informed that we were facing an $81 million deficit that, without taking significant action, would grow exponentially over the next few years. It turns out that the previous administration made spending decisions under the assumption that in this fiscal year, we would pass measures to raise revenue. A footnote in the budget book actually said, "It is assumed that a sizable infusion of revenue will be approved in fiscal 20 to meet the assumptions of this forecast. Without this new revenue, Dramatic reductions in services and fundamental costs will be needed. This footnote can be found on page 94 of the fiscal year 2019 budget book in about 5-point font. It appears innocuous, but it radically changes all of the assumptions about where we've been and where we are as a county. It's also an approach to governing completely at odds with what I believe and with what our residents deserve. Indeed, past administrations have made decisions that, for better or worse, didn't always take the long view. In addition to spending beyond our means on the operating side, past budgets spent a large amount of our fund balance on capital reserves. In addition, these past budgets maxed out our borrowing capacity on school construction, and we still have unmet needs. The county also stopped putting money into the fund that pays for retiree health care and insurance benefits. But that obligation hasn't gone away. In fact, it's projected to grow into the foreseeable future. Starting in 2015, the prior administration started draining that fund without replenishing it. Even worse, the money taken from that fund was used to pay for regular operational expenses, inflating our baseline costs without having a sustainable source to pay for it. We're now just a few years away from running out of funding for retiree benefits. Taken collectively, these decisions have placed our AAA bond rating in jeopardy. They've put the future of our county at risk. And in many ways, those decisions have limited the choices available to us today. At the same time, our county has changed dramatically in the last few decades. We have more than 830,000 residents in Baltimore County. We're the third largest jurisdiction in the state. Our population has grown by nearly 20% since 1992. A larger, more diverse county is a more vibrant county, but it also has complex needs. We need to build modern, state-of-the-art facilities. We also need to invest in the social and emotional welfare of our kids. We need to provide them with the best education possible and with the supports they need to succeed. We need to ensure that our children and their families are learning English so they can succeed in our society. We need to do more to take care of our vulnerable residents. Nearly 2,000 students in our schools are homeless. Nearly half are eligible for free and reduced meals. Nearly 80% of our most recently enrolled students speak English as a second language. We need to strategically address the opioid crisis. We have the second highest number of overdose deaths in the state, and we don't have sufficient access to treatment and other services for people affected by addiction. We need to make sure that all communities are safe and protected, free from the fear of crime or violence. We need equitable access to parks and recreational opportunities, and we need to do more to ensure a sustainable future for our children. In short, we need to take care of each other. That's the basic social compact. Our fates are tied together, and we're all better off when more people thrive. That leaves us facing some pretty tough decisions about the future of Baltimore County, about the kind of county we want to be and how we're going to get there. But council members, I know that you and our constituents agree that we can, that we must rise to the challenge. That's why we're here, to make the difficult decisions necessary to move our county in the right direction. Moving ahead starts with education. For me, it's personal. Having spent 7 years as a teacher in our school system, I saw firsthand every day students coming to school hungry. I saw students struggling to learn in overcrowded conditions because of lack of air conditioning and because of aging facilities. I saw students who were struggling with social and emotional trauma in their lives beyond the school walls. Baltimore County Public Schools represents nearly half of the county's operational budget, for good reason. Ours is the 25th largest school district in the nation. Investments in our kids are investments in our future. This budget proposes historic investments in education. It invests more than $32 million in new money in our schools, one of the largest ever increases in maintenance of effort. It also proposes smarter investments because we have to be honest about which investments work and which ones don't. Technology plays a critical role in our schools today, but devices can't teach our kids to read the way a teacher can. They can't address the special needs of a child on the autism spectrum. They can't help a kindergartner learn to control his impulses or to be a good friend. Educators do those things and so much more every day. They are the most important resource we have in our schools. That's why I've included a 2% cost of living adjustment for teachers and support personnel, a raise that is on top of the 3% they received at the beginning of this calendar year. I've also included funding for teachers to receive step increases. Our educators perform heroic acts every day. They deserve to be compensated accordingly. I'm also proposing funding to add 16 more school counselors, 15 more social workers, 4 more psychologists, 50 more special education teachers, and 21 more ESOL teachers, all critical to the success of our schools. We also know that kids can't learn on an empty stomach, and it's our responsibility to make sure that no child has to. So, we're proposing to increase the number of schools that provide free breakfast, focusing this expansion on schools with the highest concentrations of poverty. At the same time, for both budgetary and educational reasons, this budget proposes reductions to funding for devices at the earliest grades. These devices are costly, and there is considerable evidence that raises concerns about the links between screen time and child development. The school system proposed a small step towards reducing the number of devices in first and second grades. And I think we should go further, and this budget does so, proposing a ratio of 1:5 for kindergarten through second grade. We're also proposing a multi-year plan to replace expensive laptops with less expensive Chromebooks for most grades, which will save $18 million over 3 years. In addition to these investments in the operating side of our school system, we also have significant capital needs. The need to address our aging and insufficient school infrastructure is a challenge separate and apart from the operating budget deficit. That's why I'm including funding for the creation of a 10-year school construction plan in this budget. It's also why, during the legislative session that ended last week, I lobbied our legislature hard for an increased investment in school construction. In fact, it was my only legislative priority this year. The need is that urgent. After a resounding win in the House of Delegates, I was frustrated and disappointed that the legislature failed to pass the Build to Learn Act, which would have provided an additional $400 million over the next 4 years for the county to meet its school construction needs. Those funds would have allowed us to stay on an aggressive timeline for the Schools for Our Future program and to get serious about the needs at our high schools. A few weeks ago, I visited Lansdowne High School and saw the challenges that teachers and students face in a building that is literally crumbling. The building is so ill-equipped that it can't accommodate students in a wheelchair. In fact, students who use wheelchairs are being forced to attend another high school. While I'm disappointed at the lack of state action, this budget will move forward as best we can until we can go back to Annapolis next year and fight for what we need and for what our kids deserve. So as part of this budget submission, I have included planning money for a new Lansdowne High School and am committing all of the funding for the county's portion of the construction costs for the remaining projects under the Schools for Our Future program. I'm also committed to funding planning and design for 2 additional high schools in fiscal year 2022. However, I want to be clear. We cannot move forward on any of those projects without an increased commitment from the state. With this budget, Baltimore County is honoring our commitment on school construction. It is essential that the state partners with us on their end to meet the needs of our students, teachers, and families. Of course, in the 21st century, educational investments can't stop at K-12. We must also expand access to opportunities in higher education. Our community college system is an outstanding asset to our county, enrolling more than 62,000 students at 6 campuses this year. The College Promise Scholarship Program provides access to the incredible opportunities available at CCBC to more students than ever before, but it doesn't go far enough. That's why I'm proposing to raise the income threshold and adjust eligibility criteria so that more students coming out of high school can access the opportunities offered through education. We're also proposing to freeze in-county tuition at CCBC so that it remains affordable to any county resident who wants to enrich their lives and open new doors of opportunity. In addition, I've included the final funding to complete the Carol Eustace Center for Health Professionals at CCBC Essex. It will be a state-of-the-art facility to support the system's effort to train individuals for in-demand jobs in healthcare. And we can't grow our diverse economy without also making strategic investments. So my first budget includes a number of proposals that will help us grow into the future. We have to do more to leverage our anchor institutions, and we can already see the value of their investments in partnership with projects like the BW Tech at UMBC, the TU Incubator, and the recent announcement by Towson that they will invest in the Towson Armory. Going forward, we will dedicate new resources and personnel to lead an anchor strategy. I propose funding to work with our anchors to help seed new startups and encourage those startups to grow here, stay here, and create jobs and economic opportunities in our communities. We must also do more to support our established communities. Baltimore County has never invested significantly in growing tourism. Though with more than 175 miles of shoreline, a robust network of craft breweries, vineyards, wineries, and a beautiful state and county park system, we have a clear ability to attract more visitors. Just last week, we released a study that found that Baltimore County is well positioned to increase the economic activity of this key industry, as long as we make strategic investments. And our transition team recommended pursuing a strong tourism strategy as well. For years, we've spent most of our dedicated tourism dollars on grants to cultural institutions in Baltimore City. While we remain committed to embracing a regional strategy to support our arts and cultural assets, we must also focus on supporting activities and programs right here at home. By investing in an integrated tourism, arts, and culture strategy, our economic development team can work to capture additional funding, strengthen partnerships with the business and philanthropic communities, and pursue state designations to secure the county's first arts and entertainment district and Main Street, Maryland community. In order to strengthen these investments, I'm proposing an increase to the hotel tax, as well as the introduction of a fee on short-term rentals like those through Airbnb that will help fund this meaningful tourism promotion strategy. The transition team also proposed working towards a more comprehensive strategy to address the opioid crisis. This crisis does not discriminate. It has hit every community, and I suspect that every person in this room has been impacted by this crisis in some way. There were 367 overdose deaths in Baltimore County in 2017. The vast majority of those were opioid related. We had the second highest number of overdose deaths, and the numbers from the first 3 quarters of 2018 show that the trend continues in the wrong direction. This epidemic requires a strong public health-based response. That's why I've included funding in the budget to hire an opioid strategy coordinator, an individual who will ensure that our agencies are working together to develop a comprehensive plan to increase access to treatment, prevent addiction, and help save lives. This is a critical step forward on a problem affecting the health and lives of so many of our neighbors. We also know that providing children with opportunities to engage with peers and leaders in their communities is critical to social and emotional well-being. Police athletic league centers are an invaluable resource for so many kids and families, providing them with a safe space to participate in recreational activities. I'm proposing 2 new school-based PAL centers, upstream investments in our children. And as a local government, one of our most basic functions is to make sure that people feel safe in their neighborhoods and homes. I'm committed to showing our law enforcement officers how grateful we are for their dedication and service, and I'm pleased that we have resolved a years-long legal dispute between the county and the Fraternal Order of Police over officer salaries. A well-paid professional police A well-paid professional police force is essential for public safety. And as a result of this settlement, our officers will receive $13 million in back pay, as well as step increases and grade changes that will boost pay for our officers. Going forward, they will be among the best compensated in the region. And the settlement will also enable us to more quickly fill vacancies and attract top-notch candidates. I'm also committed to increasing the diversity of our police force. The police department is only 14% African American, though 29% of the county's population is African American. And there are no women among the executive command staff. This will change over the course of my administration. In addition, I propose funding to plan for a new Wilkins Police Precinct, the oldest of our precincts. The community deserves a new, modern facility that can accommodate the officers assigned there and the community they serve. We will also ensure the safety and well-being of our fire personnel, allowing them to continue the critical, often dangerous work that they do. We are equipping all career fire stations with commercial-grade washers that will ensure firefighters have gear that is free of the carcinogens and other dangerous residues they encounter in the course of their work. We're also committed to our firefighters that, starting next year, we'll begin to equip them with a second set of turnout gear. In addition, we're adding $500,000 for a total of $1.5 million to the grant fund for our volunteer fire companies. Our correctional officers also play an important role in keeping our community safe. Officers at the county correctional facility currently share protective gear, which means that they often find themselves wearing gear that doesn't fit properly and therefore doesn't properly protect them. This budget provides funding to equip all correctional officers with their own protective gear, keeping them safe while they work to keep us safe. When my transition team delivered its report earlier this year, they identified a critical need to apply an equity lens to all that we do. Valuing diversity can't be just talk. It has to be action. And I'm committed to making this a reality for our county. I'm proud that we've hired Stacy Rogers to be our first county administrative officer, the first African American woman to ever serve in that role. And last week, we announced the appointment of our first permanent fire chief ever. To ensure we continue to make strides, I will be hiring a chief diversity officer to oversee our efforts on this front. This individual will ensure we consider equity in all of our decision-making, and they will help identify and address barriers that stand in the way of any individual accessing opportunities available through county government and throughout the county. In addition to a focus on diversity, we must act quickly to focus on sustainability, and we must do so on multiple fronts. We have to reduce our contributions to climate change, and we must ensure our communities are prepared to respond to the effects that we're already starting to see. So, we will be hiring a chief sustainability officer who will oversee efforts to increase our investments in renewable energy countywide and to develop a comprehensive strategy to increase our resilience to flooding and extreme weather. We are also providing $500,000 in dedicated resources to help communities prepare for flooding and other impacts of climate change. It's time for us to have a thoughtful strategy to address these challenges. We also have to invest in sustainable, comprehensive transportation systems that connect population centers and enable people to move easily between work, home, recreational spaces, and commercial districts. Our county has not historically focused on the importance of integrated transportation planning, but we are moving towards the creation of a transportation bureau within the Department of Public Works. We plan to hire a deputy in that department focused solely on transportation, and we've also identified some key innovative investments. This budget includes the first ever line item, $1 million for bike lanes and pedestrian features that will improve walkability. This funding will allow us to begin planning for a comprehensive bike and pedestrian strategy and allow us to leverage other dollars. The budget also includes funds to begin planning for a circulator pilot in Towson. Of course, maintaining a livable community with a high quality of life also requires constant investment in our existing infrastructure. So I propose record funding for road resurfacing and traffic calming, two of the needs that we heard repeated over and over again during our town hall meetings this year. We're proposing more than $37 million for road resurfacing and curb and gutter maintenance, as well as $2 million for traffic calming. We're also preparing to launch 311 in the county. Residents will soon be able to call 311 from anywhere in the county to access county services. I came into this office committed to increasing transparency and accountability in our government, and we've already made great strides. I want to thank the County Council for approving a package of ethics reform that were proposed. That package included the creation of an Office of Ethics and Accountability, which will work to root out any waste, fraud, or abuse in county government. This budget includes funding for that office. The town halls we held earlier this year are just the beginning of a sustained effort to increase engagement and transparency. When the council approves this year's budget, we will launch an open budget platform so residents can easily see how every dollar is being spent. In addition, we're laying the groundwork for a performance management system, similar to the CityStat program in Baltimore City. The system will use data to track the performance of county agencies, enabling the public to hold us more accountable. It will also identify which programs work and which ones don't. We're also making budget decisions that, though not particularly flashy, will help us to ensure our fiscal health in the years to come. We're investing more in retiree health and life insurance benefits programs to ensure that fund remains solvent. And this budget retains a 10% fund balance, a step critical to ensuring we keep our coveted AAA bond rating. This budget is about making Baltimore County more inclusive, sustainable, and livable. It's about addressing the long-standing needs while also planning for the future. We know that the state legislature next year is likely to pass more education reforms as a result of the Kerwin Commission. I'm committed to these reforms because I believe that they will make a tangible difference in the lives of our children, our families, and our communities. These reforms will provide us with more state resources, but they will also require us to invest more. Addressing our existing needs and planning for the future requires some hard decisions, decisions I don't take lightly. Early on, after learning of our fiscal challenges, I brought my agency heads together and asked them to identify areas where they could cut, and they answered that call. Together, we identified more than $20 million in operational savings, and we eliminated 17 redundant positions. We identified county cell phones that we were paying for but weren't being used, and we turned them off. We moved uniformed fire personnel from the 911 center back to the field, where their skills are most valuable. We eliminated a health program that we found was duplicating services. We're transferring responsibility of recreational field preparation back to volunteer recreation councils, something they've long asked for. And we're installing technology on more public works vehicles and snow plows to significantly reduce the amount of excess road salt used during winter storm events. These are just some of the examples of the opportunities we found for savings in the budget. But even with these and other cuts, it's clear there is no path forward to maintain our quality of life and meet our growing challenges without bringing in new revenue. That's why I'm asking the County Council to approve an increase in the income tax rate to 3.2%. For a resident earning $50,000 a year, this amounts to about $15 more a month. For perspective, the last time the income tax rate was raised was in 1992. The Cold War had just ended, Bill Clinton was elected president, a gallon of gas cost just over $1, and our county's education budget was about $356 million, less than half of our current budget. This proposal will bring Baltimore County in line with the income tax rate of our state's other large, diverse jurisdictions. We're also asking developers to pay their share. In other counties, developers pay impact fees on new homes and businesses, fees that help pay for the increased infrastructure necessary to accommodate growth. In partnership with the council, we'll be working to enact a surcharge on new development in line with what other counties impose. And as many families have moved away from landline telephones, the county has lost a critical revenue from charges currently placed on those lines. So I'm proposing a small tax on cell phones, $3.50 per line, a charge similar to what's already in place on landlines. In addition, in the course of our cable negotiations, we are planning for the introduction of a PEG fee, a surcharge on cable television bills that covers the cost of public, educational, and governmental programming. As I said before, I do not take these decisions lightly. I know how hard county residents work for the money they earn. But I believe our residents understand that investing in the future requires us to make these hard choices. I said it at the start, but I think it's worth repeating. I ran for this office because I love Baltimore County. I ran because I believe that Baltimore County is good, but I also know we can be better, and we can be better for everyone. Make no mistake about it. Baltimore County is at a crossroads. We can no longer accept the status quo for our families or our future. It's time that we take action. This budget responsibly closes our deficit with cuts and revenue and puts us on firm footing to build a better future. I'm a proud product of this county and of our school system. Along with the support of an incredible family, growing up in Baltimore County allowed this public school kid from a blue-collar town to be the first in my family to graduate from college, to be a public school teacher, to earn a PhD, to be elected Baltimore County executive. I was lucky that my success was limited only by how hard I worked and how big I dreamed. And I want the same, really, I want so much more for my daughter. And I know that every other parent across this county wants the same thing for their sons and for their daughters. It's our obligation to make sure that's within reach for each and every one of them. Great communities are not built by accepting the status quo. They're not built by doing things the way they've always been done. They're not built by rejecting innovation or by failing to look beyond our own interests. Great communities are built by being bold, by looking towards the future and envisioning what's possible. For Baltimore County, greatness is possible. And by working together, I know we'll achieve it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, man. Good job.
Now the fun begins, right? Now the fun. Thank you.
Congratulations.
County Council will hold a public hearing on the executive's proposed budget on Tuesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. in this chamber. The County Auditor's Office is currently reviewing the proposed budget. The Council will begin its review of the individual agency budgets on May 6th. These hearings will continue through Thursday, May 16th. The entire schedule of hearings is posted on the Council's website. The budget hearings will also occur in this chamber. Budget adoption is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, May 23rd, 2019. In closing, I just want to thank all of you for coming today, and please have a safe drive home. Thanks so much.